topic. Before I switch to my screen, I have some questions here, but I'll answer that after the presentation. So I'll just go straight to the point, so we don't keep more people waiting. So sorry, I'm just going to switch my screen to this. All right. Can you see my screen over there? Sorry.
Yes, I can. And
All right.
for the audience, if you can, please just maybe drop a yes. But yes, I.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. So we'll be talking about the importance of UX research in UX design. And I was talking to some persons yesterday, and most people tend to confuse this terminology with UI design. So UI design is user interface. It has to do with the design itself, and UX is user experience design, which has to do with more of the research to what you would pass on to the UI designer to work with. And most people in this part of our country are mostly the both of them. So you find most people saying they're UI UX designers, which can be correct. That if you do proper analysis and research. So I just proceed with my. I'll call it scrolls instead of calling it slides. Now I'll call it scrolls because I just created a one body of art using Figma. And so I'll begin. What is user research? So I'll just go through everything I've stated here, and then I'll allow my guy in the house to give me go ahead to answer the questions. So what is user research? User research or user experience research is a systematic investigation of your users in order to gather insights that would inform the design process. With the help of various user research techniques, you set out to understand your users' needs, attitudes, pain points, and behaviors. Processes like task analysis look at how users actually navigate the product experience, not just how they should or how they say they do. Typically done at the start of a project. Yeah, so user research or user experience research is always done, or mostly, let's use the word mostly done at the start of a project. I know many persons here might know this, but I just had to add that in. But also extremely valuable throughout. It encompasses different types of research methodology to gather both qualitative and quantitative data in relation to your product, whatever product you're putting out there, or services. And we have different types. There are different types of user research. I hope I've captured some of them. Yeah, this is proudly sponsored by Google. So you don't say I have a book somewhere. I don't have a book somewhere. I had to make my own research in this research. So types of user research. We have the qualitative versus the quantitative research. We have the attitudinal and behavioral. We have generative versus evaluation, remote usability testing, diary studies, card sorting, surveys, which is mostly done. You find a lot of UX designers doing surveys. So you just find links passing everywhere. And then we also have interviews. So I'm going to take the first one. Today I'll be treating just the first one actually. So we have the qualitative versus quantitative data. What's the difference between the two? Because there's a versus, so there's definitely a difference between both of them. So for the qualitative UX research results in descriptive data, which looks more at how people think and feel. It helps to find users' opinions, problems, reasons, and motivations. Please, if I'm fast, bro, you can notify me. You can learn all about in depth in videos. I would attach this video if I'm sending this out to anybody that wants it. Quantitative UX research, on the other hand, generally produces numerical data that can be measured and analyzed. Looking more at the statistics, quantitative data is used to quantify the opinions and behaviors of your users. User research really relies on just one form of data collection. So there are various forms of data collection. The data can be applied to an existing product to gather insights to help improve the product experiences, or it can be applied to an entirely new product or service, providing a baseline for UX, which is user experience, design, and development. So I told you it has a phase. So we have to treat UX before you go into UI and then into development. So let's take, for instance, an app. So there's an app. You have to make research on what does public need, which you would find downwards, and then it goes from there, from the research and the problems you've gathered, because you gather problems to solve later with UI, and then development. So it moves into UI, it's designed and then probably sent to developers to develop what you want, either an app or a website or whatever your products you're pushing out. For a detailed description of UX, there's another video. I would attach a link to that also. From the data gathered during your user research phase, you should be able to understand the following areas within context of your product or service. So there's a question that came up on this. I'm going to treat that question. I won't try to explain it now. I will explain it during the question and answer time. So these are some of the questions you need to ask yourself as a UX designer, whether you're fixing the two, if you're a UX UI designer or UI UX designer. These are some of the questions you need to ask yourself. And I think this is common with even most of the fields. People doing just regular designs also ask themselves this question. So who are your users? You need to know who your users are. You need to know what their needs are. What do they need? There's a problem. So what do they need? What they want. There's a difference between need and want. How they currently do things, how they would like to do them. So with this research done, you would find a solution, a possible solution, most times not a solution 100%, but a possible solution that could aid a 10% to be 25%. So I won't try to exaggerate things and tell you you're going to hit 80%. No, but then you're going to make a progress from a particular point to another point. What is the purpose of user research? What is the purpose of user research? So most people this should even be a question everybody should be asking themselves. As long as you're a designer, what is the purpose of this? But today we're treating user research in UX. So what is the purpose of user research? The purpose of user research is to put your design project into context. So you make it have meaning. It has to have meaning. It has to have direction. It has to have a strategic flow, a strategic workflow. It helps you understand the problem you're trying to solve. It tells you who your users are, in what context they'll be using your product or service, and ultimately what they need from you, the designer. So you're the designer, obviously. You're the UX designer. You're the UI designer. UX research ensures that you are designing with the user in mind. This is trying to answer the question of someone from the community, but I'm going to answer that later. So user in mind, which is key if you want to create a successful product. Okay, so you need to have your user in mind if you want to create a successful product. So you're obviously not designing for yourself. So you need to have that in mind, at the back of your mind. Throughout the design process, your research, your UX research will aid you in many ways. You as a designer is going to aid you in many ways. It will help you identify problems and challenges, validate or invalidate your assumptions, because most people design based on assumptions rather. They feel, okay, this should work. I think this is going to work. So this is going to work. Let's go. Let's design. So it's going to help validate or even invalidate. It's going to tell you, oh, the assumption, whatever I thought was going to be the solution, oh, I feel that isn't going to be the solution. So I have to like go this route. So it's going to validate or invalidate your assumptions, find patterns and commonalities across your target user groups, and shed plenty of light on your users' needs, goals, and mental models. Why is this very important? What is the purpose of user research, and why is this very important? Why is it so important to conduct user research? So, in a very brief statement, without user experience research, you are essentially basing your designs on assumptions. We said it in the other subtopic. If you don't take the time to engage with real users, real, not AI, real users, it's virtually impossible to know what needs and pain points your designs should address. Here's why conducting user research is absolutely crucial. So, user research helps you to design better products. And that's for a fact. It helps you a lot to design real-time, better products. Not perfect, but better products that could stand the test of time. There is a misconception that it's okay to just do a bit of research and testing at the end of your project. So there's something I call it pre-test and post-test, because I've been opportune to work with some developers, develop some applications. So I try to fix my own terminology, and I said pre-test and post-test. Now, what do I call a pre-test? A pre-test is user research, which is UX. That is what you do at the start of a project. So you don't start a project with design. You start a project, whatever project you're doing, even though it's a logo project, because I have an idea. I have a lot of idea with brand design, brand identity design. So even though it's a logo project you want to do, you need to make your own research. You need to look for mood boards. You need to ask questions. So my pre-test is having to make research before design, and then the post-test is having to test what you've created at a certain point in the development. So there's a misconception that it's okay to just do a bit of research and testing at the end of your project. The truth is that you need UX research first, followed by usability testing and iteration throughout. So it's going to be like a journey of its own. Even when the products are out there, there's still user research still goes on. That's why you can find applications doing regular updates. Facebook, and let's use for WhatsApp for instance, because we use WhatsApp every day. There's nobody that doesn't use WhatsApp every single day. At least you spend at least 1 hour every day on WhatsApp. So you find WhatsApp doing regular updates. They want to fix something. They are getting feedback from reviews. People are writing reviews, thousands of reviews, telling you, okay, WhatsApp is hanging. For a couple of weeks now, WhatsApp has been hanging. I've written my own review. I've said this is hanging, and I'm sure they're going to fix it. So that's what user research does for you. And you also need to understand how to take back feedback, because not all feedbacks are good feedbacks. So you need to know how to filter what feedback you're getting. This is because research makes design better. The end goal is to create products and services that people want to use. Now you need to underline want. Not services people will use, but services that people want to use. So you can see there's a strong line between WhatsApp and, let's say, for instance, Snapchat. I know girls would disagree because they use Snapchat almost every day. But these are two good products. But which one do you use first? Or which one do you use more? You use that of WhatsApp. I know the both of them are not on the same wavelength, but they also have the messaging functionality in them. So that's what user research does. Which one is more friendly? What is more friendly? What is more usable? What do your users want to use? What do they want to use? The mantra in UX design is that some user research is always better than none. So doing some bit of user research, even though it's just a survey, putting out a Google link out there, a Google Doc link out there, telling people, okay, write a survey, fill the survey form, fill this, do that. Even though it's a Microsoft form that you put out there for people to fill, a bit of it, even though it's just a phone call, calling, probably you're designing for a noodles company and just calling a friend in Indomie and asking some questions. It's better than not doing anything at all, than just jumping straight into Figma or SD or Sketch, and you feel, oh, because I'm a good designer, I would kill this. So some user research is always better than none. That's a mantra in UX design. If you have a note, you can jot that down. It's likely at some point in your UX career that you will come across the first challenge of any UX designer, and which is convincing a client or your team. I saw this question also, and I'm happy I covered it in this course outline. Convincing a client or your team to include user research in a project. Because many, to be honest with you, many clients don't want this. They don't want, they feel like that few weeks or days you're going to use to conduct research that you've put in their deadline or their timeline for a project to be delivered, that few weeks or days, it's a waste of time. They say, can't you just do this in 2 hours, in 5 minutes? So it's pretty hard convincing your client or your team. Probably you're working for an agency and they're not too inclined in your direction. You need to convince them. You need to give them good reasons why this should be done, and it always make the project come out really cool and nice, and something that everyone would want to use. We have user research keeps user stories at the center of your design process. So every user or every client, every user has what they want to gain by using a particular. Okay, I just got the message. So user research saves time and money. If you or your client decides to keep the research phase altogether, the chances are you will end up spending time and money developing a product that, when launched, has loads of usability issues and design flaws, or simply doesn't meet a real user need through UX design. So I'm going to speed through this because we have other discussions coming in. So I'm just going to put them in brief because I've just been briefed via WhatsApp, like I said. How to plan your user research. So I'm going to make this document available to Samuel, and he's going to make it available to anybody that wants it. How to plan your user research. When planning your user research, it's good to have a mix of both qualitative and quantitative data to draw from, so you don't run into issues from the value action gap, which can at times make quantitative data unreliable. So there are other things like more than 60% of participants said they were likely or very likely to buy a kitchen appliances. So this is when you conduct your research. By the time you conduct it, you now know what the users actually want, because those are your target market. Your target markets are not the clients; they are the users. They are more of the users. They are not um, what will I? They are not non-living things. You're targeting living things, people that would actually use this, people that would move their hands to use whatever you've created. When to use different user research methods. So there's a variety of there are different methods out there. So there are times, over time, study shows that over time, if you're studying a particular pattern, over time you get to understand that, oh, this pattern is not working, let me try other patterns. So these are qualitative methods: the guerrilla testing, interviews, focus groups, field studies, in-lab testing, card sorting. All of it I would provide to Samuel, and he would send out to anybody that wants it. quantitative methods, we have user surveys, first click testing, eye tracking, heat mapping, web analytics, A and B testing. Uh, we've come to the end of this section, and thank you so much for listening. I hope you got a thing or two from this presentation.
Thank you so much, Davio. Thank you so much. I was taken aback. I was like, you got notified on WhatsApp, like, good. Um, well, we just want to make sure, that we discuss all that we have to. So thank you, Davio, for that really, really wonderful slides, regardless of the time that you had to prepare. The time that you had to prepare, it was really awesome, and the talk. Um, honestly, everyone, if you have any question, please feel free to drop it. We have like a link. I'm gonna drop it here again. You can drop it here, or go to this link and drop your question. We have several already that we are going to discuss. So right now we're like moving into the discussion section of this event, where Davio and Ebere will kind of like walk through um, some concerns and some myths in user research, and we just talk about it and try to arrive at some resolution, or just try to arrive at something. Okay, so to begin this section, I have a couple friends who are differently abled, as I love to. I prefer calling, using the term rather than say disabled, which I don't really see a problem, but I prefer having that like differently abled, just differently abled. And when you like perform, when you try to carry out user research, or you design in general, how often do you um, tend to design for, like equitably, like, inclusive design for this sort of people, people who are differently abled? And this is a question to our speaker. Ebere, you've been quite quiet for a while Davio. Oh, Ebere is out. Okay, so yeah, so I mean, Davio, we would love to have your take on that. What do you think about design for individuals who are differently abled? And I mean, this has to do with research. How do you carry out your, when you try to design, how often do you design for people who are differently abled, and what impact can your design? If you want to take the floor, please feel free. The question again is, so the discussion, the first of various sort of discussion we're going to have is, how often do you design for individuals who are differently abled, and what impact does it have really or can it have in design in general? And I mean, the impact on both people who are not in that category, but differently abled. What impact can it have in your design in general? Ebere, if you're here and you can take it, feel free. Um, if not, Davio, I think you can.
Okay.
Ebere, are
Okay.
you? Okay, Davio.
Yeah, Demi can take it. Demi should take it.
Okay. So I haven't conducted any tests or any research for the disabled, whether by hearing, by sight, or the other one. But based on my experience, I would say one of the ways you can conduct such a research is by having people that can understand their language, which is a sign language, whatever sign language they use. You need to have such a person close to you. It's just like teaching someone to use an English app when the person is a Spanish person probably understands writings in Spanish. So you're trying to teach the person how to use an English app. So you'll have to create a system which would favor that person. So what would favor that person is to create a system in their language. So I think the best way to do that is to have someone that can interpret their language to them, and then probably get feedbacks from that particular disabled person. So the person can be able to say, oh, I have a challenge. He can't really talk. Let's say the person cannot talk, but the person can give signs and say, oh, okay, this is a challenge I have. If I'm able to see social signs or social icons or social symbols in this product, I'll be able to recognize what it is and understand how best to use it. So I think that will be the answer from me. It's not the best answer, but I think that's the way I'm going to go about it.
Um, I can.
Yeah, sure, go on.
Can I contribute something? So, another way you can design for people with special needs are breaking down your targets, like breaking them down into behavior and interest, because not all disabled like behave the same way or use product the same way. So, in a situation where you have to break their break it down according to their behaviors and interests, you can also be able to gather a lot of information to work on their pain points and their goals towards the app or the product rather.
Okay, thank you so much, Ebere. So I think I'm gonna just have to maybe I didn't really quite like phrase it per se, but I mean, awesome answer, Davio and Ebere, really awesome. Actually something some sort of article that I came where people talk about when you design for having people who are in mind, it tends to everyone in this like in maybe this is an analogy or an example. You maybe look at people who really can see really well, but then someone may think, okay, oh, that it's who have low vision or something. But when you have those sort of people in mind and your background, like you don't use really sharp background or something that is use the right amount of hue and saturation, all of those color stuff, then even people who are maybe driving and just have to glance at something can be able to see the call to action really clearly. So I mean, that article, I really can't remember where I saw it, but when I finished reading that, I actually got to understand that when people who are like differently able, it tends to benefit in the sense that like a lady is carrying too many children or something, and she's using her phone. She's likewise almost in the same condition as someone who just got injured or someone who lost their arm and can't use that arm or something. So I don't know if you understand now, and that was like the context I was trying to come at. Anyway, but I mean, that was really awesome. We have a couple questions. Davio, I think I should let you have like some answers to you had like some reactions to like one or two questions which you said you would. I think I should let you if you don't mind, of course. Do you mind reacting to a couple of maybe one?
Okay, so I should pick. I can pick a question from the numbers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I have. Sorry. Okay, so it's the fourth question. What are likely biases that could exist in conducting user research? Some that can, yeah. So like I said in the slide, is putting yourself first. So once you put yourself first, you've created a very big loop in any project at all. So you need to think about different things, like I stated in the slide. You need to think about who your users are, what their needs are, what they want, how they currently do things, and how they like.
Hi, okay. I think Davio kind of like is off. However, Ebere, do you mind taking from there?
Okay, so speaking of biases that could exist in conducting user research, um, apart from you putting yourself first, I think one of the biases that we tend to overlook are that of the participants who take this user research. A lot of them respond to questions based on what they think instead of what they actually feel, or what they really feel. And sometimes these participants could be opinionated about the sponsors of the people who are conducting this user research. So this is actually one of the biases that I know exists in conducting user research. So by the time you get this information, you find out that the product you're building can kind of be flawed, will kind of get flawed because you're not getting the right answers you should be getting, because these participants are responding based on what they think and not what they actually feel, or you should get what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually I always make mention quotes by Ford, the person who created the Ford vehicle. So he said, if I asked them what they wanted, they would say they needed a faster horse, and that would mean he would have to like engineer horses to become faster, and that's like in those like the medium by which to move carts and all of those things. But made he kind of like So this again boils to a question like some people say if you is wrong and you should just fully just focus on your user you get. But I think, do you think, or rather, that there is a degree to which as a UX researcher or UX designer, that it comes to a point where you make a certain decision, like there, like for example, in an app, you're developing an app, give your user like so many options. Let's say there are 1,000 options, but if you present your users with like so many options, they would get drowned. And so you give them just a few options, okay, and the best option so that they can work with that. That's you making a decision, isn't it? So again, like, to what level do you think? Is there like a mix? Is there a balance? Or should there be a balance between your own context, your own input, and user itself? Is it like a 70-80, a 70-30? What really matters, to be honest, Ebere? What do you think?
You get your question right. You're trying to find out the degree a designer should make certain decisions in their designs when designing for users.
Yes. Yeah, like it's
Okay.
actually inevitable, right, to not impute something. Is it entirely inevitable? Like just leave it, okay. Um, Users, you guys make the pick. Is it totally
Nah,
inevitable? And
nah,
so, to
nah.
what degree should you
Make certain. Okay, so this question is really tricky because this question is really tricky because no matter how you even make user research, you're likely still uh you likely still need to make a lot. I won't necessarily say a lot though. You'll likely still need to make some iterations because um design, because users were probably not what's that word, use the product the way you think they should be using it. So well, I don't really think you should make certain decisions in design. Well, there are certain decisions a designer can make, like where a button should be placed or the color or the feel. But every other experience, okay, so every other experience should be based on the user research you conducted.
Yeah, same. I feel same that to some like, okay, so the first app, like the first kind of like app I worked on after the Google stuff. Again, I'm not a designer, really, see, I'm more of like a developer, but and that was for a wellness app, and I kind of like, had to choose between the levels of functionalities. Do I need to present people with, do I want to drown them with a lot? Should I give them this option, give them that option? But again, I think, yeah, that you, to some level, you are presented with making decisions. You want to go all inclusive, because I'm more fascinated about accessibility. And when I look at design, I look at how can several people use it. And that's why I asked my first question, or about inclusiveness and equity, because it's actually like there are over a billion people who are differently abled, and these are over a billion people who have sincere pain points when using products. How is your product, how friendly is your product to people who are differently abled? And I mean, the only decision that I know that I can ever make for is trying to make a product more inclusive. I don't think that's a bad thing anyway. But yeah, placing a button and some other things are things that it needs. I think it needs like expertise. The
Yeah.
same way, like let's say the number keypad was like designed where you have zero at the bottom, you have one. Like it was designed, of course. It didn't just come up, So people designed that. They knew that usually people would want to tap like zero, and they put zero very close. And I don't think much of like, it's just some experience, some things experience best provide like an answer or a better inferential, put you at a better inferential position to get at. David is having some technicalities joining. Um, Still trying to fix that. However, there is a question here about okay, so this says for new developers that are starting off alone or with a few developers, how do you suggest they conduct user research? As in, how do you find the users to solve it? Ebere, I think this is quite an easy one. What do you think?
Okay. First of all, I don't know why a developer. Okay, nah, I wouldn't say that though. But I please, if you're a developer starting off, I think you should try to collaborate with designers. It is very, very important. Very, very important. And I'm not even talking about, because now they are the ones who understand the principles and the whole what's the word now, the whole thing about user research, design, the principles, the rules and regulations of how things go with designers. They are the ones in charge of the user experience. They know how it goes and what should be done. So as a developer, you already have your own hands full of making this product functional enough for people to use. So I think it's very important for developers to work to find designers to collaborate with, especially when you're starting off, because most of this relationship tends to grow up to be something great in the near future. But honestly, I you can actually as a developer, you probably want to try your hands into user research and all that, but there's something about when it's not something you know how to do, you really don't know how to do it. You just have to leave it for the experts. That's it. I'm not trying to no okay, this is not me trying to be condescending. This is actually, you just like telling a designer. You can't tell a designer to go and make some CSS codes or something, or I don't know, when it's not something that they can do. That is the work of the developer to make things very functional. That is not the work of the designer. So you have to just leave the conduction of user research for the designer and collaborate more with a designer for that.
I think what Ebere is really trying to say, just to, of course, talk a little bit more, is to really get the best outputs. We think that you're a developer, you have an idea, you're trying to develop something, and kind of trying to get some feedback, conduct survey, user research. It's pretty much better to leave it for individuals who are really well skilled and knowledgeable about it, because interviews, survey isn't just something you get into. The sort of questions you ask, and sometimes you ask questions and you're already inferring, you're already suggesting. You're like, do you like red? Or you like red, right?
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that the sort of questions you ask are not, you're not trying to like already confer an answer. You're trying to like, okay, so you have to be like really plain. Also, like, let's say you're trying to interview your tone. You shouldn't show excitement when you're talking about some new product or something, because now you're showing excitement. You're already passing the excitement to me. And if I don't like it, how do I now tell you so you don't get offended? So you have to like...
That's one of the
right?
biases we're talking about in conducting user research. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's really something skilled people. Myself, regardless of a Google professional certificate, I won't still regard myself as, because I'm more of like a developer person. So if you don't bring these jobs to people like Ebere, I mean, how it's what they do. So it's just best. Like myself, I used to like be full-time freelance and get a lot of like clients who want to like get an app, from zero to hero. And I always, reached out to designers for them to do their thing until I got offended one time. I still say it every day to Ebere, like, I got offended. You guys, they wanted to take like more pay than myself. And I'm like, no, whatever they know, I want to know it too. And regardless of having a category of designers who are T-shaped, designers, like T-shaped designers are people who can have like an array of knowledge of things, but specialize on one thing.
Yeah.
It's just best, I feel, being like specialized. But again, I don't know how your brain works. You could be Albert Einstein or the next big thing, and then you decide to put everything in your head. It's your head, of course, and you can carry it. So, but it's just best, to leave things for experts. And I only learned to, again, knowledgeable a bit, and so I don't look like a total dummy, because I don't really know much. So I just try to stay relevant as much as I can.
Yeah.
Davio is having a really, really hard time, and wow, Davio is having a really hard time. So sorry, Davio. Really, I think I should also write that here. He said he can actually text, but he can't hear, and this would mean we'll just have to like wrap up. Is there anyone in the audience with a question? I would love to give this like an opportunity to come on stage and interact. So you have say something. Please, this is a perfect opportunity for you. So Alexander is saying as a UX. Okay, so Davio said they should do more of surveys, go on social media and ask questions. Okay. Yeah, that's a really great way to get people talking, people responding. As a UX designer, do you need a proper understanding of data analytics? Great question again. Great question, Ebere. As a UX designer, do you need proper understanding of data analytics? So I'm gonna ask you now, Ebere, do you have consolidated understanding of, because you are a UX designer, of course.
Yeah.
Do you have So I think you should speak like for yourself as a wonderful example.
Okay, so you would think that being a UX designer, you're supposed to like be really into data analytics, but it, though this can you can have little knowledge of it, because while you're working you have to show proof of your research by dropping your target users, breaking down your target users, breaking down their behaviors, breaking down their interests, and it just keeps spanning like so no, you really don't need, you just need a basic understanding of it, but not that you have to really go into data analytics. That's just it.
I really do find it very annoying how employers tend to like mix a lot of things. It's like they feel some employers think that they're like a chef. They're wearing this whole chef stuff, and then they try to like add some UX design, graphic design, product design. Like there's this boiling bowl of skill they need, and they just keep adding all this sauce, and then they want to cook the perfect. They just want to like prepare ideal person, and then pay this person not as much as these independent skills, because I feel some skills are just independent, like someone trying to add again analytics to products, or
Yeah,
but you will be amazed.
the long shot
Employers
though.
will actually ask. Employers will ask for these skills and be like, we need someone who has great analytics skill, someone who is a product designer who is skilled with this, and I'm like, really? Like, I don't
Yeah.
understand. Honestly, I just have to say that a long way through, because a long way through the whole course I had to go through, I almost gave up, because I was like, I don't want. I'm a programmer. What am I doing here? Like, I saw that how different, like, regardless of the fact I feel they are really over, like that, I really still saw and I still see a lot of differences. It really like a whole lot of difference between UX and development. And I was like, are you
Yeah.
sure I will not just focus on my development and just design for people that want to design? Because at some point I was like, I came back to developing and I forgot some things and I had to refresh my skills again. I'm like, guy, come back to get your things back on,
Okay, so I have a story
So
regarding this. Sorry for
mhm.
cutting you short. I have a
Sure,
story
sure.
regarding this. So when I just started design, and I just being curious, I wanted to know what kind of qualifications employers would be looking for someone who is going into product design. And I saw they needed people who has HTML and CSS skills. So me being kind of naive, thinking that I must have. Now, these people are not finding people with HTML and CSS skills just because they want you to code. They want you to have those skills. Like, it's even just basic knowledge. They want you to have those skills so that you can be able to design products or design web pages that can be easily implemented by the developer. And so I dabbled into learning HTML and CSS. And while I was learning, I saw how, I wouldn't say it was frustrating. Okay, now I'm so sorry, but developers are really trying. Like, it was like a toxic relationship. I want to get out. I want to stop coding, but I am seeing myself coding the next day. And at a point, I even forgot everything about design. So I had to like start from the beginning, which is going back to the principles of design, learning about colors, learning about lines, learning about alignment all over again, just because I stepped out for a moment. I stepped out of my area of, I just had to focus on design. And that was when I knew that, okay, I really want to do design, but if I have to code, it's probably just to work my brains or something. And so please, it's actually
Just to
important to
flex your
specialize.
brains.
It's as much as it's good to want to know it all, it's still very important to specialize, to be honest.
There you have it from Ebere. I think I read a comment from um I think this is coming from David, and David says, yeah, that to some degree, I mean, you have to like you gather some data. So if you have some data analytics, it can play a really good vital role. Yeah, I mean, again, I feel personally that candidates, due to how intense it can be, and I think Crystal would also have a lot to say about this, as an employer and someone who, has a lot of connections with a lot of individuals who are skilled. I feel candidates really try to up their game, try to learn as much as they can, try to infuse a lot of things, and just so they can stay, relevant and um, on their game. I think, I don't know if maybe Crystal, if you want to like come up to just say something about, let me know. And I am more than happy to just get you on stage so you can maybe contribute to that. We are we're gonna round up real quick. Oh, David is back. David. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Oh
think you
man.
have something to say. Do you? Sorry.
That was a roller coaster for me.
Yeah, really
Oh
sorry
man,
about that.
no problem. Yeah, I think I've typed out what I want to say.
I would love you to like throw more light on this data analytics, because personally I'm not really seeing the romance, but I think you made that comment. Do you mind maybe just throwing some?
Okay, I'm not so inclined in data analytics, but yeah, it's and okay. So I'm just going to give you just something I wrote down before I had that issue with the network. So data science can be vital to the success of your UX design. It holds the key to your visitors' behavior and expectations, but you must learn to use it and be aware of its potential pitfalls. So it has its own downsides. I can't really go depth into that because I don't really have full knowledge into that. I would only say what I know. I hope everyone understands. So it's very vital. Data analytics and science is very vital to the role of a UX designer. So you don't want to just be doing collecting data and you're not utilizing it in the best way it should be. So, like I was saying, I was talking about something before I had the glitch. Um, so you need to understand how to get back feedbacks. You need to understand the kind of informations you're getting from people, kind of data you're getting, and how to filter them. You're not just going to get something and then just run with it. You need to understand how to filter those informations and data you get from people. So I that's to the best of my knowledge.
Thank you so much, David. Thank you so much, David. Talking about data. Honestly, data was like the first thing I ever tried doing in my life. And God, data science. I'll just stop there. Data science is quite,
It's
it's quite
broad.
awesome,
It's really
but
broad.
it
It's a
is
broad, it's a
it is
broad course.
broad. It is broad and it's really great. It has
Yeah.
its great potentials as well. So yeah, we were about like wrapping this real quick. It's 5:11 p.m. West African time, and it's really been a pleasure. It's been an honor having wonderful speakers, David and Ebere, talking about UX research, UX design, and somehow data science found its way here. It's like data science like following me everywhere I go. I don't know. It's like
Like,
I really have to watch over my back now, my shoulders, trying to make sure it doesn't catch up with me.
you
It's
really
like
need
karma
to.
because, and let me tell you, actually, I actually used to be like, there were some events that I was like a mentor for data science. I actually did speak to one of my mentees to be here, but the way I like moved from data science to software was I really do want Crystal to come on stage because I feel he has a lot to say about this. But the way I moved from same as with Destiny, Chris, I should let me. I think you still have permission to be here if you want. But yeah, so the thing with data, I actually thought was I couldn't really imagine building, and I didn't want to like go into the whole neural deep learning stuff. But with software, I really could build something and people would use it, and I'll be so happy with myself that wow, people are literally using an app. But I guess I wasn't just really patient with it because I wasn't ready to wait to have a chunk of data before I can analyze. I'm someone that loves to practice on a daily and on a regular. And having to
Yeah,
wait for some data sets before I can actually flex my data
Moses.
querying, data mining exactly wasn't something I was willing to wait for. And then software came along and I was like, wow, okay. And somehow I still love it. Like I still have really good love, and to see product designers, UX guys use it somehow in their context would be awesome. But I still believe it's great work because honestly, I feel like in a very big company or organization, maybe some data analysts or data scientists should work. Like okay, we've gotten data. Our data analyst, this is what we want to get. The data analyst, give us the analyzed data, we work on it again. Maybe that's some good thing about working with some big organizations. You know their names. Anyway, until we actually are in that context, I think maybe having one or two skills in bites wouldn't. No, I don't think
All
so.
right, that's fine.
So thank you so much, David. Thank you, Ebere. Thank you so much, everyone who made time to be here. It's been wonderful, wonderful time. I'm gonna let our speakers wrap up with a closing remark. David, Ebere, feel free. Now is the time.
Okay, so I have a phrase. I always tell people, you are your only limit. So you're not limited to the things you can achieve. You can achieve even more than you think you can achieve. I'll just say a little about myself. I started designing a year and 6 months ago, and that's when I design. And this is like my 1 year and 6 months experience in design. But the things I've come to achieve within this time frame has been really, really awesome. I know it's God's grace, but you need to study. So you're not limited to what you can achieve. Just keep studying, and just wherever you find any seminar going on, just ensure you try to attend, try to get one knowledge. You'll definitely get something from there. I hope everyone stays inspired and stay learning. And thank you so much for having me on this platform. I'm super grateful.
Our pleasure, really. It's a pleasure, really. Ebere?
Okay, so I would like to thank you all for listening, even if I didn't have a lot to say. And I want to also adding to what David said, in every field you find yourself, constant learning is actually very important, and limiting yourself is just a state of the mind. There's nothing wrong with trying to dabble with going into industries that have nothing to do with yours, though. But and for people who are trying to learn user research, there are like resources out there that you can use to find out the key questions of finding out how or making this user research, different ways you can make user research, and how to learn your users. um I would also want to thank you all again for having me here. Thank you, Samuel, for thinking I have something very, very big to say. And it was really nice chatting with you all.
Kill me with laughter, Ebere. Really, now this is where I actually talk about you guys. And this is on record. This is on record. This is going to go to our YouTube channel. So let this be on record. Again, sometime within this year, our two speakers, David and Ebere, would be back. And this time it wouldn't be a discussion, it would be actual practical. David will be taking design. David has done like awesome designs. One time, I don't know if it's one time, but one of the designs which I have seen is the Encanto the infamous character, the girl, this the girl animation. He actually drew that on Figma. And then there was this one I saw recently, one character with a box head that's so cute, could go for a teddy bear. Really, really cute character. Again on Figma. David is an amazing artist. I'm gonna just call you an artist, bro. Like, you're really, really awesome. I don't know how you use Figma to do the things you do. I think that a lot of see that going, and really we can't wait to have you here doing that, showing the world how you do that awesome stuff. Really amazing. Ebere is an amazing. Let me come towards the UI aspect. Her UI designs are amazing. You should check out her Instagram. It's really, really, really amazing. I would really love our speakers, if they can, to, although in the email you got for signing up, there you would see a link to their various handles. There's a link to David's LinkedIn, and from there you can see his portfolio and all of that. There's a link to Ebere's website. You can contact her there. You can see a link to her portfolios are there. These two are amazing people in what they do. And again, they'll be here. Hopefully, we could be able to host them on Codecademy's official YouTube. I would try to discuss on that, because you guys have really awesome talent that I feel the whole world should see. And it's really an honor and pleasure, really, to our community. It's really, really, really good, awesome pleasure and honor to hold you guys like here. I still can't believe it. It's cold, but I'm sweating because I'm like, wow, we just did this with David and Ebere. Really awesome, really. You guys don't know how I can speak on and on and on about how incredible you guys, like, really. And to think that this was really short notice, and I'm really gonna say here, it's something we've not done before. Just really, really short notice, and you guys did this. Like, really means a lot. And I mean, here with Codecademy Pro Hackers and Codecademy in general, it's like a family. We're all a family. You see, Crystal is like, used to be like a chapter lead, but now it's focusing on many things. Like, Crystal is like family. Like, we all are here to like help one another. Crystal is here to support this community, as well as every other attendee who is here. Sylvia, personally, I invited Sylvia. Hello, this is me saying hi, Sylvia. So, I mean, we're all like a community, like family here. We support each other. We tend to like help each other grow. So I just want you all to know that, I mean, this is an amazing place and an awesome space, a really safe space for us to connect and for us to grow. And we can't wait to have you both here again. And this time, getting our hands dirty on some, or maybe getting our hands clean, whichever, on some really awesome design and UI. It will really be awesome. And this is me asking. I think I spoke to David about this, but now I'm openly and like publicly asking Ebere that if she would give us the honor again to be here to on some design, that would be really, really awesome. And it would be not as tight as this, I assure you. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Alexander and Tega. It's been awesome. And I guess this is where we call it a day. Thank you.